All right, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, everyone. I think we will get started now, inshallah. We just like to give people a few minutes to start trickling in, and so everyone can get a little bit from this event, inshallah. As usual, we just want to quickly start off and give you guys a quick overview of what's going on during Ramadan. Or whatever's left of Ramadan. Like subhanallah, there's not much time left in Ramadan. We're nearing the end right now. I think today is the 19th day of Ramadan, so it's crazy how time flies, and we just need to make sure that we're making the most of it. But with that being said, we do have some events that are still running, inshallah, for these next few days. And I'm going to share my screen really quickly here. If you guys were waiting in the wait room, you guys would have seen this already, but just quickly an overview. So as you guys know, the Better Together campaign, Project LMM Woods is running during Ramadan. This is an extension to last year's Better Together campaign, but with a project this year, inshallah. And a project that's only, I think it was like a 7-minute walk, 2-minute drive. And a lot of people actually park around that area for Jum'ah prayer when the parking lot is full. So it's very close, very accessible, and it's a nice building that's going to be used, inshallah, for the generation that's here and the generation to come, inshallah. The mosque needs more space, needs to meet the capacity of the community, and this is one of the many ways that we can fix it, inshallah. And why not get it done when it's near? And we're halfway there, inshallah. So we need everyone to contribute. We're getting to the last 10 days now. This is where we're gonna need to full throttle, put in all the effort that we can, inshallah, and help the mosque as much as we can, especially in these last 10 days of Ramadan, inshallah. So connect with your family, connect with your friends, connect with anyone that you can, please, inshallah. And make an effort, a group effort, to help support this cause. As you guys all know, Yadullahi ma'al jama'ah, Allah is with the group. So if we go together as a group and work together as a community, this should not be a problem at all, especially in these difficult times. As long as we work together, we can get through them, inshallah. The first event that we have here is the daily event by Sheikh Khalid Anwar, which is a juz a day. And mashallah, we need to make sure that we're making the most of it and learning as much as we can about Holy Quran, especially in the month where it came down to us, or came down to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So let's take advantage. Every day at 6:30 p.m., you get to learn about a juz of the Quran. And now you're not just reading the Quran, but now you understand what you're reading, and there's more meaning to it, and you'll make the most of it, and you'll enjoy it more now. Because a lot of people complain, well, I'm just reading and not understanding it. Well, now you understand it. You understand what you're reading, and now you'll enjoy it more, and maybe you even do it more often now that you understand it. So just make sure you take advantage of this session, inshallah. We also have Kahoot. So as I mentioned every week, Sheikh Khalid Anwar, Jazakallah khair, he's answering the questions for us on Saturdays. But on Sundays, it's your turn to answer the questions. And there's basically prizes, inshallah. I think for this event, we're getting like upwards of 40, 50 people every session. So it's very competitive. And people are joining alone, people are joining with their families. Whatever you think will help you win, let's get it done, inshallah. And we have our session, which is Ask the Imam sessions. This is where you guys come in and you guys get to learn a little bit more. Maybe get some of those misconceptions that you have sorted out. Anything that you're not sure of. Maybe somebody asked you a question and you're not sure how to answer. This is the session to do it, inshallah. And here's a nice overview of what's running through Ramadan. So we have the juz a day, Taraweeh, weekly Jum'ah prayers, the Q&A inshallah. So I'll leave this up for a second, let you guys take a quick look at it, and then we will get started inshallah. All right, that was more than 1 second, so I'm going to stop it right there and get it going. Inshallah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Arij.
Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, alhamdulillah, good, alhamdulillah. This intro was not rehearsed at all. You know, it's not like we've already gave salams before we turned the live stream on.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. All right, so we're just gonna get right to it and start getting these questions answered, inshallah, and hopefully make the most of it for you guys. Again, if you guys miss a session, it does get saved on Facebook, so you guys can go back to Facebook and maybe rewatch some of the answers that you want answered, inshallah. All right, perfect. So the first question, inshallah, it says, Salams, I am a young individual here who is very confused of why interest is haram. To me, makes sense that if someone who were in debt were charged interest, but if you had, okay, I guess we'll go, interest is haram. The person does not understand why is interest haram. So if we can go from there and explain that, inshallah.
Okay. It's a great question because for us, interest when we study anything at school, maybe like so you start learning about interest from, like, I remember grade 11 math or grade 10 math, about the concept of interest, and it's a part and parcel of our world. You see, it's something that does not. It almost seems like there isn't any sense in preventing this because this is so obvious, right? But there is this is a reality that we're at today that wasn't always the case before. Okay, what was the case before was interest was looked down upon by all of the three Abrahamic faith traditions. It is prohibited in the law of Moses in the Torah. It's prohibited in the Gospels, in the law of Jesus, which the theology of the Christians is you ignore the law and just accept Jesus as your savior, and now you don't really need to worry about the specifics of it. Okay, but it was there in the law, not permissible, and it's in the Quran as well. This is not permissible. So that's just one thing to understand from, like, a historical perspective. That's actually the norm, where it was considered to be outlawed, not something that was considered to be acceptable and very, very accessible. Okay, number one. Number two, also understand that interest was and is a tool or an instrument that favors the powerful and the privileged. It's by definition so. You can look at it on a micro level, you can look at a macro level, right? On a micro level, if you're just giving a loan to somebody, you have money and you will actually end up having more money when the transaction is done. And the person who is starting with not having money will have to figure out a way to get the money that they don't even have right now to make themselves whole again. So the equation is very heavily skewed in the direction of the person who is giving the loan. You look at it actually from like its evils actually are more apparent when you look at bigger scenarios, right? You look at how developing countries are shackled by almost perpetual debt. Okay, that's steeped in, like, colonization and exploitation previously, but then now they're burdened by debt that, say, the World Bank gives them or IMF gives them. And those countries, if they ever make it out of it, it's like a mini miracle, right? That they made it out of that kind of a situation. Most of them just perpetually remain in that situation, right? Something like outstanding has to happen, like they found oil or something, right?
Yeah.
Or or something else like, they have a workforce like China's workforce, where they just completely took over development and manufacturing, right? But even that's almost like historically unprecedented. You can barely find any examples of that in history, right?
Yeah.
Outside of those exceptional cases, the vast majority of countries are in perpetual debt and they're not going to get out of it. They're not going to get any better. So you see
Yeah.
the evils of this on a bigger picture much more clearly. It concentrates power and wealth with the powerful and wealthy. That's what
Yeah.
it does. And that's why it's such a big deal. And that's why such a vice. Uh, Now you look also thirdly on a from an Islamic perspective. Islamically, when you are like the Quran says, وَأَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَى. Allah has permitted trading and business and has made riba haram. What does that mean? That means you can make money. You're not the Islam does not stop you from making money.
Yeah.
In fact, you're encouraged to make money, right? There's evidences of that, many evidences. For example, the Prophet said, "Ala man waliya yatiman lahu malun falyattajir fihi hatta la ta'kulhu sadaqa." Is encouraging a person who is in charge of an orphan's wealth to invest that money so it can
Mhm.
grow. You see,
Yeah.
um, so there is lots and lots of evidences, but most importantly, it's just axiomatically known. It's just understood, by common sense that the religion doesn't stop you from making money, but it stops you from exploiting, and that's what riba is uh, at its core. That's what it is. It
Yeah.
exploits. So, for example, you can have a transaction where you can make money as a in a partnership, okay, and you can set it up. There's various instruments in Islamic law and modern Islamic financing that you can set up. You can actually make money in a partnership contract, okay,
Yeah.
without it being a debt contract. You see, uh,
Yeah.
so making money is not the problem. The problem is you have put someone in debt, and then you have leverage over them, and then you have power over them. That's what interest really is. You have power over the person,
Yeah.
right? And that's where it becomes a problem. So that's just you know a few thoughts about interest and why it would
Yeah.
be haram.
100%. I think somebody has a follow-up here
Sure.
saying, what about the bank giving minimal interest? So I think this would go with like savings account.
Yeah.
When they give you these like 1 or 2% interest on your savings account,
Mhm.
do you clean by giving it away or don't accept it at all? Period.
So ideally, you shouldn't have accounts that accept interest. Okay, like you shouldn't have a savings account. Uh, but the default rule is you don't accept it. There are certain types of accounts where you can't refuse it. Like for example, I have a US dollar account. That's a checking US dollar account, but they give you interest on it, right? So you just take the sum of interest and you purify it. Purifying means that you give it away in charity. It doesn't count as zakat. It doesn't count as sadaqah. It's just you're literally removing it and giving
Hmm.
it to a good cause, right?
Yeah.
So the goal should be to eliminate those kind of accounts. But if you cannot eliminate an account, right, they are giving you interest, then you take that portion and you donate it with the intention of purifying your wealth. Allahu Akbar.
So there's no ajr in when you give that charity because that's not, like you said, a sadaqah, right?
Correct. That would be considered. So, like the hadith of the Prophet is, "Inna Allah tayyibun la yaqbalu illa tayyiban."
Yeah.
Allah is pure and He only accepts that which is pure. That's
Yeah.
talking about charity. So
Hmm.
it's ajr in the sense of you're cleansing your wealth, but not ajr from the context of you're giving charity, sadaqah, or zakat.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Jazakallah khair. Yeah, I think this is because like how you said, it's so prevalent nowadays and it's a big topic, and so it's there's a lot of confusion around the topic, and it's a complicated topic. It's not like it's straightforward for a lot of people, right? Like we know that and but in at the end of the day, like you said, the Quran says Allah allows for trade but doesn't allow for riba, right? And there's a few other ayats in the Quran that are against it. So we need to stay away from it for sure, inshallah. Um, The next question says, and this one will be in Arabic. ما الحكم في الماء عند المضمضة والاستنشاق لدى الصائم? So, yeah. I mean, if
Very
you want
nice.
to translate that one and then
What is the ruling of madmada and istinshaq? Madmada, as you can guess by the way it sounds, is gargling.
yeah.
And istinshaq is to clean your nose with water. Okay.
Yeah.
You want to hear a bad joke?
Yeah. I'm always good. I'm always down for bad jokes.
Okay. So when you're doing istinshaq, that's the only thing you're allowed to put up your nose or sniff up your nose.
That is a dad joke. That is 100% dad joke. I appreciate those jokes though.
Alhamdulillah. I'm glad you do. So coming back to the topic, what is the ruling of it? Um, the ruling of it is you're allowed to gargle and put water in your nose to clean it. This is something that's done in wudu, right? So you're
Mhm.
allowed to do that, uh, and you can do it 3 times as is recommended. You can do it 1 time. That's also actually fine. And the only thing is you don't uh, overdo it. Like the Prophet said, وَبَالِغْ فِي الْإِسْتِنْشَاقِ إِلَّا أَن تَكُونَ صَائِمًا. Okay?
Mhm.
Uh, don't, like make sure that your nose is thoroughly cleaned, uh, except if you are fasting, right? So the idea is that don't do it so much that you end up swallowing some water or some water inevitably goes down your throat, right? Just be
Yeah.
watchful of that. But other than that, you're good to go, inshallah.
Inshallah. Yeah, I know there's this one video circling around though of somebody asking the same question, and then the Imam says, "Well, how many times are you doing madmada?" And the
Yeah.
guy says, "Oh, every half an hour." he's like, then that's not, then that's a little excessive if you're fasting. So
That's not really fun, but you just try to sneak in a few sips of water
yeah,
there, right?
exactly. Everyone's trying to find those loopholes under the day.
Alhamdulillah.
Um, Alhamdulillah. The next one is regarding zakat, and it's saying, "What's the ruling on zakat on your personal gold and jewelry?"
Okay. So zakat on personal gold and jewelry, there is a difference of opinion of the scholars in the matter. The position of the majority of scholars is zakat, gold and silver that is for personal usage has no zakat.
Mm-hmm.
Position of the Maliki school, the Shafi'i school, the Hanbali school. They all say for jewelry that's used uh, on a regular basis, um, that jewelry is not subject to zakat.
Yeah.
The Hanafi position is it doesn't matter what type of jewelry it is, gold and silver is subject to zakat. Okay,
Okay.
there's two positions, and classically this is the case. Why do you have two opinions in the matter? Uh, well, because there's a hadith of the Prophet in which the Prophet says
Nice.
that zakat is due on gold and silver, except for what you wear, what a woman wears as part of normal, uh, as part of normal day to day or event based jewelry, right? That she's wearing at some frequency. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The Hanafi scholars consider that hadith to be weak. So they
Okay.
say, you know what, this is something that doesn't apply. And then the default ruling for gold and silver is you give zakat on it. The other scholars consider that hadith to be strong and binding. And that's why they say you have to pay zakat on jewelry. Sorry, you don't have to pay zakat on jewelry. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, that's true. So it's I guess two madhabs, but the majority, the three of them will say if you're wearing it, then you don't have to. But if it's for investment purposes, you have to, right?
Correct.
All of them agree on that
Yeah.
front, that if it's for investment purposes, you have to.
Yeah. So actually, you know what? Let me just answer the question again. Okay. Uh, do you? So let's revisit the question. Okay. Number one, there is zakat due on gold and silver by default. That is something that zakat is given on. If you
Hmm.
have gold and silver for investment purposes, if gold and silver was used as currency, okay,
Yeah.
then that is 100% by consensus. Uh, Zakat is due on that. Okay. Uh, then there is the aspect of um, sorry, one second. Then there's the aspect of jewelry, right? The jewelry that a woman wears, for example, okay, uh, and the in that aspect there is a difference of opinion in the matter, which is the position of the majority is you do not give zakat on jewelry that you wear regularly. The position of the minority is you give zakat on jewelry because that is something that is gold and silver. And if gold and silver is by default, zakat is due on it, then jewelry counts as well. That's the Hanafi position. The Maliki, Shafi'i, and Hanbali position is there is no zakat on that because that is something that a woman wears that is exempted. It's like the clothes, and there's a hadith about that as well. Then the difference of opinion arises because the hadith is considered weak by some scholars and others considered to be not weak. Allahu A'lam.
Wallahu alam. Okay, perfect. Jazakallah khair. Well, I guess this is similar to the one we answered a couple weeks ago, but we can ask it really quickly. Is it okay to deliver food for non-Muslims while you are fasting?
Hmm. Yeah, I
I
think that
think we
should be no
can, right?
problem. You can deliver
Yeah.
food to non-Muslims or even a Muslim. Maybe the Muslim is a person who has a reason they don't fast, right? Maybe they're sick. Maybe they're a lady
Yeah.
who's on their, who's pregnant. Maybe.
Yeah. I think we agreed that as long as you're not sneaking a bite in there, then you're allowed, right?
That's it.
Okay, perfect. So this next one says, what are the what are Muslims women's rights after marriage,
Mm.
including the money, like splitting of money or the money after marriage, I guess.
Sure. So the rights of a Muslim woman, like the Quran says, وَلَهُنَّ مِثْلُ الَّذِي عَلَيْهِنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. The rights and responsibilities. There's husband who has rights, and the woman, the wife has similar rights. وَلَهُنَّ
Hmm.
مِثْلُ الَّذِي عَلَيْهِنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. Whatever right, whatever rights she owes, whatever is her responsibility,
Yeah.
similar to that she gets as her right? So that's the baseline of what the Quran says about the marriage relationship. There are some differences about, for example, liability, right? وَلِلرِّجَالِ عَلَيْهِنَّ دَرَجَةٌ. There is a added layer of privilege that the men enjoy in that relationship. For example, the marriage contract is considered to be a contract that is in the hand of the man. For example, he has the authority to divorce. Okay, but the woman can uh, stipulate that if she wants to, in a prenuptial agreement before she get married. Okay, that's a possibility. But by default, that is something that the right that the man has. So there is a added layer of privilege, but then also with that an added layer of responsibility that a man has. Part of that is the financial liability, right?
Hmm.
The family's financial liabilities fall on the shoulders of the husband, not on the shoulders of the wife. Okay, that's part of the the way Islam sets up the family structure.
Yeah.
So it's the responsibility of the man to earn and to feed and to clothe and to shelter, etc., etc. Okay,
Yeah.
and when we say it's the responsibility of the man, we are saying that if that person doesn't do it, they are doing something that is unacceptable Islamically, and Allah could ask them on the day of judgment why they didn't fulfill their responsibilities. Okay,
Yeah.
so that is on the man. The woman does not have that responsibility. That liability does not fall on her. That
Yeah.
means financially, whatever she earns is hers to keep, and is she has full agency on what she wants to do. Okay,
Yeah.
what it doesn't mean is that what the man earns is also the woman's. That's not what we're trying to say here. What the man earns, he has to first, before anything, make sure that his family's taken care of, everything is in order. Then whatever is left is his savings because it's money that he earned, right? But for the woman, she has no bills, so to say, to pay. All that
Yeah.
she earns is hers to keep. Money that they get as like a couple, like say Canada Child Benefit or something, right? That you can say is like shared money, right? Like that's not really one's or the other, right? Even though it comes in the mom's account, for example, but really it's like a shared thing, uh,
Yeah.
right? So that's kind of how we view money. Everything in the relationship has, is equitable, okay? But there are certain extra responsibilities and certain extra privileges that the man has. The responsibilities the man has is the financial responsibility. The woman does not have that. Wallahu a'lam.
Very perfect. Jazakallah khair. The next question is we'll answer. It's not a Islamic Q&A, but it's about the better together. So I think I'll just quickly answer that one, and then we'll move on to the next questions. This one just says, can a 13-year-old join this program? 110%. Whether you want to join the events, you can come and listen, inshallah. There's always benefits. You can always learn. You're never too young to learn. From the Q&A, the juz' a day, you can learn a lot from those, inshallah. And again, you're never too young to learn. Kahoot is nice and fun. Play with your family. And if you want to join the Better Together, well, you can save a little bit on the side. Maybe you have a piggy bank or something, or a little Tupperware, something that you put all your money in. Save it in there, and then you can maybe give that to your parents, and then your parents will pay via online or something. Or if you have a bank account, you can pay once in a while, right? It doesn't have to be the amount that's put on the posters. You can put as much as you want. If you want to put $1 a week or $5 a week or whatever it is, you can always put in and contribute. So do whatever's within your reach, but any age doesn't matter. Get involved, and you can even make it a family event, inshallah. But it's a great question. Jazakallah khair. Let's see here.
Like I said, put your money in Tupperware.
Put your money. I was trying to think what else other than piggy bank can you do it. Like there's nothing else. I was like, oh, Tupperware could work as well.
But a piggy bank is not haram though, right?
No, it's not.
Right, because this is piggy doesn't make it big. It's okay, you can
No,
have a
no. If you're not eating it, so you're fine. Like I hope you're not eating.
Even if a person was to eat it for some bizarre reason, they're still not eating a pig. They're eating like ceramic, and they're probably gonna go to the hospital, right?
Yeah. So just stick to saving the money in it, and the eating, keep it to some other stuff. I think that's the best case, right?
That's it, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. That's good. I don't know. Have you ever seen somebody save money in a Tupperware?
Yeah, my kids do it.
Oh, there you go. You see, I wasn't far off then. It works.
Yeah, I mean it works, alhamdulillah. The reason we don't have a piggy bank is because we have little kids and they throw things around. So
Yeah.
Tupperware is a safer option.
Yeah.
Otherwise there's gonna be like a broken piggy bank every week in this house.
Yeah. 100%. So you see, as long as you can store the money safely,
Yes,
fine, right?
alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah. But definitely, you don't want any broken lamps or broken piggy banks sitting around at home.
That's it.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, so this one is in Arabi. I'll say it in Arabi, and then we can go from there, inshallah. So this one says, Assalamu alaikum. هل تجوز الرحمة لأموات أهل الكتاب واليهود والنصارى؟ لدينا أصدقاء من الطرفين، وقبل يومين تعرض أكثر من 45 يهودي للموت بسبب حادثة، وترحمنا عليهم من بينهم أطفال، فهل يجوز أم لا؟
So what they're asking about is, can you make dua for mercy for the people who die who are not Muslims? Okay, and specifically they're asking about the Ahlul Kitab, the people from the people of the scripture. Okay, so this is there's I think a related question about dua for non-Muslims, right? I think maybe we can lump the two together.
Yeah, there is. There's two of them, so we can combine them, inshallah.
Sure. So dua for non-Muslims, you can make And in fact, the Prophet, that's his sunnah. He would make dua for people that Allah guides them to Islam. Okay, and he would sometimes make a lot of dua. Okay, for example, famously he made dua that Allah guide Umar radiallahu anhu to Islam. So that is completely not just acceptable, but highly, highly recommended. But that's for people who are alive. Okay,
Yeah.
when a person has passed away, and we don't know that they passed away saying the shahada, right? Then we don't make dua for them. That's the rule. The
Mhm.
Prophet's mother, uh, the Prophet has hadith where he says, I asked Allah to show me the grave of my mother, and he showed me her grave. And then I asked Allah permission to make dua for her forgiveness, and the permission was not given to me. Okay, that doesn't mean that she died a non-Muslim or a polytheist. That's not what it means. What it means is uh, we don't know whether she died in a state of submission to Allah or not. If
Mhm.
she and there's questions: did she get the message of worshiping Allah alone? And how much of it did she act upon, right? Because everybody has a fitra, a moral compass, okay, and we're judged by that. uh, that person's the final reckoning for that person is left to Allah. We don't make dua for them. Okay, if a person dies on a faith that is contrary to Islam, they're from the Jewish tradition, or they're Christian, or they're Hindu, then we don't make dua for them similarly, right? Maybe that particular individual
Mhm.
is not someone who will go to the fire of hell. We don't know that because we don't know what state they died in. We
Yeah.
don't know as an individual if that person died and are now bound for the fire of hell. We don't know as an individual how much of the message did they receive, because the Quran says, وَمَا كُنَّا مُعَذِّبِينَ حَتَّى نَبْعَثَ رَسُولًا. We will not punish until the message has been sent and received. Okay? And the people of hellfire, when they go to hellfire, they say, uh, uh, did you get أَلَمْ يَأْتِكُمْ نَذِيرٌ? Did you not get a warner who came to you? قَالُوا بَلَا قَدْ جَاءَنَا نَذِيرٌ. They said,
Mhm.
yes, a warner came to us, but we said this warner is, this prophet or this messenger or someone who brings the message of the prophets is, is lying, right? فَكَذَّبْنَا وَقُلْنَا مَا نَزَّلَ اللَّهُ مِنْ شَيْءٍ, right? So
Yeah.
that's something we know for a fact. The Quran makes it crystal clear. So we don't know what an individual's end is going to be. Okay, uh, but we don't make dua for a person who didn't die apparently as a Muslim. Okay, and we don't make dua for somebody for forgiveness, for salvation, right?
Yeah.
For someone who we don't know whether they were a Muslim or not, like as the case of the mother of the Prophet, for example. Okay,
That's true.
their matter is left to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala.
Yeah.
Why do we say this? We say this because the Quran says, "ما كان للنبي والذين آمنوا أن يستغفروا للمشركين ولو كانوا أولي قربى." Okay,
Mhm.
Quran says it is not permissible, it is not appropriate actually for the messengers sallallahu and the believers to ask for forgiveness for the polytheists, even if they're close relatives, من بعد ما تبين لهم أنهم أصحاب الجحيم, after it becomes clear to them that they are from the people of the fire. Meaning, if they know this person has rejected Islam and died upon rejection of Islam, okay,
Yeah.
they know this factually, okay, then it is not permissible to make dua for them. From that, we get for their salvation, excuse me. Then you know that you cannot make dua for their salvation. Uh,
Mhm.
if the person, uh, we don't know what state they died in, we still don't know. We don't make dua for them. If a person died as a different religion, Jew, Christian, we don't actually the specific individual. We don't know what their end is going to be, but we don't make dua for them because they didn't die on Islam. The salvation dua is made for those people only. You could actually end up making a dua for salvation who's somebody who may be a hypocrite,
Yeah.
right? Somebody who never believed in Islam but died as a Muslim and was prayed janazah on, buried in the cemetery of the Muslims. Maybe this person wasn't actually a Muslim. Allah knows, right?
Yeah.
But that person is a recipient of our du'as because we go by the apparent. The
Yeah.
apparent is this person died and was prayed upon and buried in a Muslim cemetery, right? What exactly is their salvation? That's not our business, it's Allah's business.
Yeah.
right? So that's what we say. So it is actually not permissible to make dua for the salvation. What you can do is you can make dua for the relatives who are alive.
Mhm.
You can say,
Yeah.
may Allah, give you patience. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this easy for you. Our hearts go out to you in this tragedy, right? May Allah, give you, the fortitude to bear this trial. Okay, all those good things we can say, but we shouldn't say, may Allah have mercy on your deceased, because we only say that about the believers,
Hmm.
even though we don't know individuals how their end is going to be. That's actually Allah's business.
For sure, inshallah. I think you just answered that follow-up question that says, what can we say? And like you said, you can say goodness to them and try to console them and make dua for them, the people that are alive, that Allah guides them and Allah helps them, right?
Yeah.
But not for the people that are deceased. So inshallah, I think that follow-up question was answered, inshallah, and we will be going to the next one. So this is another one in Arabic, and it says, هل يجوز لفت انتباه الصائم كان يشرب أو يأكل في رمضان بالخطأ وهو صائم؟
Mm.
So أي لو رأيت ابنك أو ابنتك مثلا يأكلون أو يشربون وأنت تعلم أنهم صائمون، هل عليك تنبيههم مباشرة أو أو تركهم أن يأكلوا وينتهوا ثم تذكرهم؟ So do you yeah, you can go ahead and
Sure. So this is the question is about someone who is fasting. They forgot they're fasting and they're eating and drinking as if they're not fasting, and you see them, do you tell them, "Hey, you're fasting, stop it"?
yeah.
All right. So why are they asking this question? That's actually because the Prophet said that من نسي وهو صائم فأكل أو شرب فليتم صومه فإنما أطعمه الله وسقاه. That if a person is forgot they're fasting and they started eating or drinking, then their fast is intact. They're not. If the fast is not broken, they have no sin upon them. They should complete their fast because Allah has fed them and given them drink. Okay. So that is the hadith, and this is a hadith that's both in Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim. That from that we get the idea that a person's fast does not break if they forgot that they were eating by mistake, right? Like they forgot they were fasting. Yep. So that is that's the basic ruling. So their fast is not affected. What about you? Should you tell them? You should tell them, because if you see something that someone is doing that's a mistake or something that's incorrect, you should point it out to them, right? I don't think you should. I don't know, like say it in a manner that they, I don't know, choke on their whatever
Yeah.
they're eating, like
Like startle them.
They just
Stop.
choke on them. Right? Or like you yell or scream and they drop the glass and there's like glass
Yeah.
everywhere on the floor afterwards. Like, you can say it. Like the Quran says, "Ud'u ila sabili rabbika bil hikmati wal maw'izati al hasana." Call to the way of your Lord with wisdom and a good reminder. So do it in a nice way, right? But remind them, immediately. Not like they've eaten their full, mashallah, and they're like, "Hey, you're fasting. What are you doing?" Right? Don't do
Yeah.
that.
Uh, yeah, that's good. And just wait for them to have the full meal, and then hopefully they can pay the favor back to you the next time when you're eating and drinking. They don't remind you either.
That's it. If you're planning on eating, drinking like forgetfully, Muhammad,
Yeah. Hey, what if it slips into my mouth? I don't know. Like I fall, the banana or
the
the
shawarma falls
shawarma
in your mouth.
falls in, and
Have you seen that video?
yeah.
This guy, he says,
So-
I fell and the shawarma fell in my mouth and 3 liters of water and an apple.
Somehow the knife cuts the apple, and the apple falls perfectly, and he just swallow, he just chews it, and it was under. That was the funniest video, by the way.
That was amazing. That was.
Oh my god. Did you see the one with the sheikh's reaction at the end as well?
I
Where he's
did.
just like he didn't know what to say. His face was just like so like I don't know what to tell you, buddy. Like
Oh man. What's his name? Sheikh Arifi, right? So he's just like, what is this guy?
yeah. Oh god, that's actually amazing. if that happens to you somehow, then like you
Mm,
said, you're lucky. You're a lucky person. But the
that's it.
chances of something just following your mouth and you not having you can't control it, then we need to reconsider what we're our thoughts again.
That's it.
Alhamdulillah. Um, so I think this might go back to a follow up to the question about making dua.
Mm.
Really quickly here, it says if someone is not surrounded by Islam or does not know about it, is it considered that they rejected Islam?
Yeah. So what we the first thing to understand is no one will go to the fire of hell thinking that they were wronged. Okay, the Quran says this explicitly. No one is going to go there and say, oh, this is not fair, I didn't belong here. Okay,
Mhm.
that's number one, clear cut. Okay, number two that we know for a fact is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put in
Yeah.
every soul the fitrah. The fitra is like a moral compass. You know how if you have a compass, I'm not sure if you remember compasses, but a compass, the actual one, not the phone app, will
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
snap to the north. Okay. That's how a
Yeah.
compass is. It snaps to the north. Okay. And that's how you can kind of figure out where you're going. Okay. The fitra is like our moral compass, and the north is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our soul is like by default yearning for our creator. Okay,
Yeah.
this is something the Quran mentions explicitly that وَإِذْ أَخَذَ رَبُّكَ مِنْ بَنِي آدَمَ مِنْ ظُهُورِهِمْ ذُرِّيَّتَهُمْ وَأَشْهَدَهُمْ عَلَى أَنفُسِهِمْ أَلَسْتُ بِرَبِّكُمْ قَالُوا بَلَى شهدنا أن تقولوا يوم القيامة إنا كنا عن هذا غافلين. This is in Surah number 7, right? Actually, just today I spoke about this quite a bit. So, and this is actually coming up more. The Quran speaks about this throughout. You should come out to that. It's a shameless plug, but that's okay.
Yeah.
So the ayah specifically says that when all people's souls were created initially by Allah. Okay, every soul before their body was before they were conceived as a fetus in their mother's womb. Every soul was already made before even like they were sent to the world. And every person's soul, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought into existence, made them witness to the oneness of Allah. Alastu bi rabbikum, and then He is the only one worthy of worship. And then all souls of all human beings said, yes, you are. Okay. And the Quran says that's done so that lest you come on the day of judgment saying, I didn't know anything about this idea of worshiping and religion and salvation and next life. I didn't know anything. No one can feign ignorance. Okay. That's done for that purpose. Also, أو تقولوا إنما أشرك آباؤنا من قبل, or our forefathers did shirk and we were just ذرية من بعدهم. We were just following the way of our forefathers. Those
Yeah.
excuses are not going to be there because your soul has the fitrah. Every soul has been given it, and you have to search for it. So that's number two. Every soul has it. Number three, the idea of kufr is you are covering up something. That's actually what kafir means. Kafir is a farmer who would cover up the seed with the soil. Okay, that's what the image of kufr is. Kufr is you're covering up that fitrah and burying it deep inside of you till it dies. Okay, that's essentially the act of rejection. Okay,
Yeah.
kufr also is rejecting, outright the message. Someone hears about the Prophet ﷺ, reads about the Prophet, said, I don't believe in him. That's rejection. But there's also
Mhm.
kufr of suppressing your fitrah, right? Now,
Yeah.
who does that at what extent? That is known to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay. And He is going to be the one who judges the people. So that's point number three. Bringing it together to the question, they are not surrounded by Islam, they don't know about it. Are they considered someone who rejected it? Well, if they never heard about it, how can they reject it? Right?
Yeah.
But they don't come on the day of judgment saying, Allah, I didn't know anything. All right, can I just go to paradise for free? Right?
Yeah.
You don't get that either. Do you know why? Because you had the fitrah. You had the fitrah. You were supposed to act on it. Your
Hmm.
soul is just like the compass irresistibly goes to the north, right? Your soul is going irresistibly to it. You have to had stopped it. Now I can't judge that. You can't judge that. Allah can judge that, right?
For sure.
And that's the judgment that He will hold them to on the day of judgment. And then there are people who are compromised, right? Like the hadith mentions of person who are, unable to hear, unable to see, someone who doesn't have the faculties of reasoning. You can't expect them to follow the inclination of their soul. They are then tested on the day of judgment. Allah gives them a test on the day of judgment at the spot, right? And if they pass the test, they enter paradise. They don't pass it, they are bound for the fire of hell. Now, it's high stakes. It's one test, right? But keep in mind, these people are not worshiping Allah on faith. They've seen it. They've seen the day of judgment. They've seen accountability. They've seen everything, right? So their test is based on the idea of certainty. They're certain of like this is happening in front of our eyes. So the
Yeah,
test for them is harder and more intense. But no one is going to be unfairly thrown in the fire of hell,
for sure.
right?
No, that's perfect. Jazakallah khair. I think like at the end of the day, people need to just do the like again, we can't judge like you said, but there when you have that filter, you gotta do the research. Like some people start questioning, right? Even if you're not surrounded by Muslims or Islam, you start questioning, well, how does this happen? How does the earth the way it is, right? How's like the beauty of this earth just like existed? Like what brought it to life, right? What
Yeah.
brought me to life? So you have kind of an obligation to kind of at least go and make an effort to find out what that is. But at the end of the day, it's not for us to judge, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, perfect. Jazakallah khair. I think we're gonna stop it here, inshallah. We got a good amount of questions out today. And like I say every week, we have another week next week, inshallah. So don't feel discouraged. If your questions weren't answered, we have them recorded. We're going to ask them next week, inshallah. If you have questions that come up during the week, please just make sure that you do ask us these questions and we can get to them, inshallah. With that being said, inshallah, just make sure you guys look forward to the Kahoot, which is tomorrow at 2 p.m. You go to the mosque Facebook page and there's more information there on how to connect to it. There's a juz a day with Sheikh Arij at 6:30. So like he said today, one of the questions, he was answering it using one of the ajza in the Quran and explaining it that way. So maybe we can go there and learn from there, inshallah. And maybe a lot of the questions that we did have or that we might potentially have will be answered in the juz a day. And that happens at 6:30 p.m. every day, inshallah. And please don't forget to check out the website together2021.ca to learn more about the Better Together campaign. Jazakumullah khair, Sheikh Arij, for joining us today and for joining us every week.
Okay, yeah.
And Jazakumullah khair, everyone, for joining us and learning and making this a fun and knowledgeable session, inshallah. And we'll see you guys, inshallah, next week. Jazakumullah khair. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.